Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. As you can see from Karl Franz and the Royal Altdorf fights, we're going to be taking the Empire today, facing off against the High Elves. So let's go ahead and get straight to the army compositions. We've got Karl Franz up on a horse here, of course, supporting the Royal Altdorf fights. The idea here, for those of you who haven't seen similar builds like this I've used in the past, is you use the Stand Your Ground and the Reichel and Runefang to juice up the combat stats of the Royal Altdorf Griffites. It also provides an elite bodyguard for Karl Franz and gives you a lot of single target monster killing power. The leadership buffs are nice as well, and in order to keep everyone alive, we do have the obligatory Jade Wizard here, Lore of Life Mage, going to be providing that healing support. In terms of the rest of the army, we do have the Hammer of Witches, we've got a Witch Hunter nearby, a Reichsguard around, we've got the Zintler's Reichsguard here and regular here. Also got the Silver Bullets, which are a super solid pick in this matchup, going to be very good against things like Phoenix Guard and Dragon Princes. We've got the Sigmar Sons and another swordsman with plenty of Empire State Troop spearmen with shields up front for the main line. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my forces. If we take a look at the High Elf army here, it's a very wide High Elf army. You can see the High Elves actually outnumber the Empire, which is not typical, certainly. We've got 5 units of spearmen, 4 Lothern Sea Guard, or 3, sorry, Lothern Sea Guard. We've also got 4 units of archers, single Dragon Prince with Teclis being a lord. He's got Nets of Amantok, Enfeebling Foe, and Regrowth. Also got 2 units of White Lions, so a very wide army with a lot of missile pressure. So let's kick the battle into full gear as we get the artillery duel underway. And obviously, since the cannon has longer range, we're going to get first shots here as these bolt throwers try and come into range. You can see we're able to snipe out one piece right off the bat, so that's going to severely neuter the punching power of this Eagle Claw bolt thrower. That being said, it's probably not going to be super efficient for me to just sit here and duel against, especially against 2 artillery pieces, because Eagle Claw bolt throwers are by their nature relatively accurate. They may be able to take down some of the guns here before we can really get effective counterfire. I mean, we've already taken down the 1 battery. But yeah, these other 2 are still online, and obviously this other unit still has a full 3. But my opponent, looking to create some separation, is going to come forward a little bit here, and this is good enough for me. We're going to eventually switch targets over to the Dragon Princes once they come in range, because they're a lot higher value of a target, and they're kind of what my Hammer Witches was meant to take out. So yeah, once they start coming in range, we're going to switch targets there, because I figured, you know what, this 700-point Eagle Claw bolt thrower is not really cost-effective for me to shoot at, because I'm probably going to lose this artillery duel anyway. So let's just go ahead and start firing at the Dragon Princes. At least I thought I was going to switch over already. But anyway, we're going to move up the state troops again, just to create some separation here, and just kind of get some more favorable engagements. There's this one Lothern Sea Guard over here that, because of the pathing, my opponent's probably just using a locked control group. This spearman, or this Lothern Sea Guard is going to come get isolated. We're going to be able to take it out relatively easily. You can see we're hiding the Reichsguard from the Eagle Claw bolt thrower, who are still focused on the Hammer of Witches. These Dragon Princes are trying to hide, but they're still in open line of sight of the Hammer of Witches there, so side shots into units of cavalry from cannons and other light artillery can be absolutely devastating. But yeah, these Dragon Princes going to pull back a bit. You can see the archers have pulled up, starting to unload. Granted, they are just shooting state troop spearmen, so not the biggest deal in the world. One of the guns does go down there for the Hammer of Witches, so we're now down to only 2 guns, but we've managed to do some pretty effective damage, taking down 15 unit models of those Dragon Princes. Over here on this side, we're going to charge these Zintler's Reichsguard into the side of these Lothern Sea Guards, so they don't get their bracing bonus, and then follow up with a unit of State Troop Spearmen. We should be able to crush them relatively quickly. Meanwhile, our State Troop Spearmen in the main area have taken quite a bit of damage, but Franz coming through with the Royal Altdorf fights, looking to get a quick terror route and start to fold up this flank. You can see State Troop Swordsmen pushing through into the second line here, probably going to be responded to by those White Lions there. But yeah, we definitely took some pretty bad missile fire over here. This Reichsguard gets netted by Teclis and countercharged by the Dragon Princes here, so not a great situation, but we can hold these Dragon Princes at least for some time while we continue to fire in with that Hammer of Witches and get some effective fire there. You can see State Troop Spearmen not doing great with all the missile fire here, but regrowth going down on those Royal Altar of Cryptites as we continue to try and collapse this pocket here and shut down a lot of my opponent's missile presence. Now that we finished off that Lothern Sea Guard, we're going to bring the Zintler's Reichsguard up and around to shut down the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, and as soon as these Reichsguard were free from their net, I went ahead and rear charged this unit of spearmen to try and get them into support. My idea was I was going to pull them through the spearmen and then let these Dragon Princes just fight my State Troop spearmen. But it didn't quite work out that way. Swordsman getting into the back line here. You can see going to be chasing these archers around. Karl Franz also coming in here, giving them the Warhammer as the Zintler's Reichsguard come around and prepare to finish off those bolt throwers. So, so far, balance power is still pretty even. There's plenty of white lions and spearmen on the field. But we have some effective healing going down, hitting these swordsmen, the Royal Altar of Cryptites, and of course Franz himself. Shutting down these bolt throwers was very key, and then we're just going to overrun and immediately charge into these Dragon Princes here. Looks like an enfeebling foe going down on the Zintler's Reichsguard there, so their combat stats are going to be nerfed, but we do bring in Karl Franz here. He's going to be smacking some of these Dragon Princes around, and yeah, he definitely does quite a bit of armor-piercing damage, so despite the, debuffed the Zintler's Reichsguard, Royal Altar of Cryptites and Franz able to finish off those Dragon Princes and actually terrify them away. And at this point, Teclis is in the wrong neighborhood. He is all of a sudden surrounded and without support. Karl Franz and the Royal Altar of Cryptites are just going to beat the snot out of him at this point. So Teclis turning tail to run, probably going to get terrified here if he's not careful. But Franz can easily take out Teclis, and at this point the balance powers turn pretty decisively in our favor. The Zintler's Reichsguard starting to rear charge into these archers and spearmen, just kind of shutting things down, and the White Lions are the main piece of my opponent's army that's still online here. The Zintler's Reichsguard, I decided to put a regrowth on them because they're a relatively high value unit, and they can... actually, it looks like that was the Altar of Cryptites. Totally thought it was the Zintler's Reichsguard, but they are actually approaching their healing cap. So you know when you get a high value unit like this to their healing cap, you've got some good value out of your healer, and that certainly is the case here. Witch Hunter just pushing up, kind of popping off shots wherever he needs to. Just clipping one of those Lothern Sea Guard, and man, actually managed to pop his head off there. But yeah, at this point we're going to be using the Zintler's Reichsguard to finish off these Lothern Sea Guard and the White Lions as well. Still a few pockets of High Elf Spearmen holding out in various areas. The Silver Bullets have just kind of been pushing up, getting free fire arcs wherever possible. Right now, didn't quite realize they're slightly behind the hill there, so they don't actually have an open line of sight. But yeah, Franz and the Royal Altorf squad going to be collapsing this pocket here, finishing off these White Lions and more. So very fun stuff. And yeah, I definitely think Karl Franz is pretty decent. He could be a bit better, and I'm going to be making a discussion video soon about kind of my wish list for the Empire, how I think that Creative Assembly can bring them up to snuff for Game 2. But yeah, I definitely think they're in a better place. The handgunner bug being fixed is huge. It means that handgunners are actually effective now, and overall, the Empire is still not the best, but they're definitely in a better place. And yeah, I think that this build definitely has some merit to it. Now, for my opponent's build, I'm not too crazy about the White Lions. Other than that, I mean, his build is pretty decent. I would have liked to have seen more heavy cavalry. Maybe you cut these two White Lions and you can bring another Dragon Prince just to have that responding power. Because the main issue for my opponent is I was able to collapse with my cavalry so aggressively that these missile units really didn't pay off. So you can see 102 kills on the Royal Altar of Cryptites, 147 on the Zintler's Reichsguard, 34 on Karl Franz himself. The Witch Hunter managed to get 61, just kind of walking around, popping shots into people. Sigmar's Sons, 80 kills. They're very good against High Elf Spearmen. They definitely beat them down. This Reichsguard didn't do too well, but 40 kills, mostly coming against the Dragon Princes there on the Hammer of Witches, so that was very cost-effective as well. For my opponent, just kind of got collapsed pretty hard, and I mean, he was able to beat my front line, and the archers definitely paid off in that respect. But I guess this build is probably designed more to counter like a heavy handgunner build, because High Elf archers will counter handgunners pretty effectively. They have longer range, they have an arc of fire rather than being a direct line of sight, and yeah, just generally they're cheaper, they're more cost effective in counter skirmisher role. So I guess this build is probably more meant to focus on destroying enemy skirmishers, but obviously with a very heavy cavalry focused build like the one I brought, didn't quite have the tools he needed to respond to everything. yeah, getting the Zintler's Reichsguard to collapse that one Lothern Sea Guard, come around the back, and then just muck up that entire back line, shut down the Eagle Claw bolt throwers, that was very key. And obviously, Franz and the Altdorf Griffites providing that very strong punch through on that flank there. Really just collapsed the High Elf formation and didn't allow these missile units to be effective. But very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.